When you turn on the stove to make a meal, you probably aren't thinking about climate change. But major cities across the country are passing bans on gas stoves and other appliances that run on natural gas because of their planet-warming emissions.
The stove brand everyone recommends just burned down my neighbor's kitchen. And the manufacturer's response will make your blood boil. If you're shopping right now, this changes everything. Your family's best memories probably happened in the kitchen. Christmas morning pancakes. Birthday cake disasters that somehow tasted perfect anyway. That moment when your kid finally nailed scrambled eggs without setting off the smoke alarm. The stove makes it all possible. Here's the thing, though. Most people obsess over refrigerators when appliance shopping. Sure, fridges hold your food, but they're also notorious for breaking down right when you need them most. Stoves? They're the reliable workhorses that keep churning year after year. Well, the good ones do. The bad ones leave you ordering pizza while waiting for a repair guy who charges more per hour than your lawyer. And the really bad ones? They die spectacular deaths right before Thanksgiving dinner, taking your sanity with them. After spending years deep in the appliance industry, watching which brands actually last and which ones just look pretty in showrooms, I've learned something crucial. The flashiest stove with all the bells and whistles usually isn't the one still working a decade later. But the right stove, chosen carefully, can outlast multiple moves, kitchen renovations, and probably your teenager's cooking experiments. Speaking of which, let's talk about why electric ranges have gotten a bad reputation they don't really deserve anymore. Remember when everyone told you to avoid glass-top electric ranges? Well, that advice aged about as well as a flip phone. Turns out, we were dead wrong. Electric ranges actually sit in the sweet spot of appliance reliability. They're way more dependable than your refrigerator or washing machine, closer to how dryers behave. Makes sense when you think about it. Fewer moving parts, less complex water systems, and no ice makers going rogue at 2 a.m. The typical electric range will give you 10 to 15 solid years. But here's the kicker. Certain models can push that timeline even further if you pick smart. And the weird part is, some of the fanciest-looking units die faster than basic models. Glass tops aren't the enemy anymore. Early versions had issues, sure. Cracking problems, heating elements burning out, expensive repairs. Modern glass tops? They've solved most of those headaches. The real reliability factors lie elsewhere, in the control boards, the switches, and how manufacturers build their internal components. Then there's the question of what features actually matter versus what's just marketing fluff designed to empty your wallet. Some additions genuinely improve your cooking experience. Others increase failure points while adding zero real value. That's where things get interesting, and where most people make expensive mistakes. Now that we've covered the big picture on electric ranges, let's talk about features. The appliance industry loves selling you bells and whistles you'll never use. Wi-Fi connectivity sounds cool until you realize you're paying extra money for something that increases failure risk. When was the last time you needed to preheat your oven from the grocery store? That fancy smart mode is just another circuit board waiting to break. Here's where manufacturers really trick you. Air fry mode. It's literally convection cooking with a trendy name slapped on it. Same hot air, different marketing department. You're paying a premium for rebranding. Before you get dazzled by features, decide what you actually need. Oven size matters if you cook large meals. Double ovens are great for big families, but terrible for small kitchens. Convection genuinely helps with even cooking. Burner power matters if you do serious cooking. But here's the real kicker. Those complex control boards that run all these fancy features? They fail constantly and cost a fortune to replace. I've seen $200 stoves outlast $2,000 models simply because they had fewer things to break. The most reliable stoves often look boring: simple controls, basic features, solid construction. Speaking of controls, they're actually your best clue about long-term reliability. Ever wonder why some stove knobs feel solid while others wobble like a loose tooth? That simple twist tells you everything about what's hiding inside. Smooth-turning knobs might seem premium, but they often signal potentiometers lurking beneath. These electronic components cost a fortune when they fail. And they will fail. It's like buying a sports car knowing the transmission will grenade itself in 3 years. Glass-top units present another headache. One control board runs the entire show. When it dies, your whole stove becomes an expensive countertop decoration. The repair bill? Often more than half what you paid for the range. Then there's the hero of reliability: old-school infinite switches with physical knobs. These mechanical workhorses click and turn with purpose. No fancy electronics to fry, no mysterious software glitches, just simple, bulletproof engineering that your grandfather would recognize. Testing knob feel in the store matters more than you think. Give them a good workout. Do they turn smoothly without feeling mushy? Can you feel distinct positions? Quality knobs have weight and precision. The weird part is that manufacturers often hide their best control systems in budget models. Meanwhile, their flagship ranges load up with failure-prone electronic controls that look sleek but break constantly. But controls are just one piece of the puzzle. Let's talk about which specific models actually deliver on reliability promises. After all that talk about controls and features, let's get to the good stuff. The models that actually deliver without breaking the bank or your sanity. Starting with the budget champion, GE JBS60RKSS. This thing is about as exciting as watching paint dry, but it'll outlast half the flashy competitors. Basic coil burners, simple oven, knobs that feel substantial. No fancy screens to fail. Sometimes boring wins the marathon. Want convection without the marketing nonsense? GE JB735PSS adds that feature for way less than anything labeled air fry. Same reliable guts, just with a fan that actually helps your cookies bake evenly. Makes sense, right? Then there's the Frigidaire GCRE3606. Yes, it says air fry on the front, but don't let that scare you off. Frigidaire kept the price reasonable and the internals simple. You're paying maybe $50 extra for convection with better branding. But here's where things get interesting. Need a double oven? LG LDE44444ST breaks all my usual LG control board warnings. Why? Physical switches instead of touch controls. The relay board costs $30 and takes 20 minutes to swap out yourself. Compare that to a $300 service call on most other brands. Speaking of brands, not all premium options are worth the premium price. Looking at slide-in ranges feels like shopping for luxury cars when a Honda Civic gets you to work just fine. The price jump is brutal. We're talking an extra $800 to $1,500 just because the thing slides between your counters instead of standing alone. Same guts, fancier presentation. But here's the thing. If you're dead set on that built-in look, don't throw your money at just any pretty face. Samsung makes gorgeous slide-ins that'll have your neighbors drooling. Then, 3 years later, you're drooling over repair bills when that sleek control system goes haywire. Bosch and Miele? Different story entirely. Yeah, they cost more up front, but these German engineers actually understand that appliances should work longer than a smartphone contract. Their slide-ins use better components and simpler electronics. Less flashy, more sturdy. For regular freestanding ranges, my brand pecking order stays pretty consistent. GE leads the pack, followed by Bosch, LG, then Frigidaire. Each has sweet spots in different price ranges. Whirlpool used to deserve respect, but their current control boards fail like clockwork and cost a fortune to replace. Samsung keeps tempting people with modern looks and smart features, but reliability? That's still a work in progress. Speaking of reliability, let's see what the folks who actually fix these things have to say. Here's something funny about the appliance world. You can ask 10 technicians which brand breaks down most, and you'll get 11 different opinions. But when I surveyed around 200 repair techs, some clear patterns emerged. GE topped their list as most reliable. Makes sense, right? They've been making stoves since your great-grandmother was baking pies. Whirlpool and Frigidaire came next, though I'll be honest, I disagree with Whirlpool's ranking. Their control boards fail way too often for my liking, and replacing them costs more than some people's monthly grocery budget. Bosch and LG followed in the middle pack. Both solid choices, especially LG since they actually manufacture more of their own components instead of buying mystery parts from whoever's cheapest that week. Then there's Hisense. Low warranty failure rates caught everyone's attention. Sounds promising until you realize their current models have some questionable design choices that make me nervous about long-term durability. The weird part is how technician polls don't always match real-world experience. A stove might rarely break, but when it does, the repair costs could fund a small vacation. That's why I blend what techs report with actual hands-on repair data. But here's where things get really interesting. Gas ranges tell a completely different reliability story. Gas ranges are basically the workhorses of the kitchen world. They're among the most reliable appliances you can buy, which makes sense when you think about it. Fire plus metal equals cooking. Not much to break there, right? Here's where it gets interesting, though. LG often comes out ahead of the pack because they make more of their own parts in-house. Less outsourcing means better quality control. Makes sense when you consider how many companies just slap their logo on someone else's components. 3 solid picks that won't let you down. The LG LRGL 5825F, Frigidaire FFCF3054TS, and GE JGB 566. These aren't the flashiest models, but they'll still be working when your neighbor's fancy smart range needs its 3rd repair visit. But here's the thing, nobody talks about enough. Venting matters more than most people realize. Ducted exhaust is your best bet. Gets everything outside where it belongs. If you can't do ducted, at least use charcoal filters or run an air purifier nearby. Your lungs will thank you later. The weird part is how many people obsess over stove features but completely ignore what happens to all that smoke and grease. Don't be that person. Now, what about those sleek induction ranges everyone's talking about? Well, that's where things get complicated. Induction ranges are like that brilliant friend who's amazing at everything but has one catastrophic flaw. They heat faster than gas, give you precise control, and make your kitchen look like it belongs in a cooking show. But here's the catch nobody warns you about. The generator boards cost a fortune to replace. We're talking hundreds of dollars for a part that controls multiple burners. When it dies, half your cooktop goes dark. It's like having your car's engine tied to the transmission. When one goes, you're looking at major surgery. Smart money says buy a separate induction cooktop and wall oven instead. Sounds weird, but think about it. If your cooktop dies, you replace a $400 part, not a $2,000 range. Makes sense, right? If you're dead set on an induction range, Bosch and Miele build them like tanks. Their boards last longer, and their service network actually knows what they're doing. But you'll pay premium prices for that peace of mind. The budget hack? Samsung's NE63B8211SS is cheap enough that you could replace it twice and still spend less than one Bosch. Not exactly romantic, but your wallet will thank you. Speaking of formats, let's talk about the other oddball options that somehow still exist in 2024. Coil tops still exist, believe it or not. The Amana ACR43103 is basically junk on legs, but if you absolutely need coils, stick with Hotpoint or GE models instead. Wall ovens deserve special attention because service calls cost way more than regular ranges. Getting a technician to work on something mounted in your cabinets? Expect higher labor charges. That's why you want rock-solid reliability here. GE, Bosch, Miele, and Viking are your safest bets. Don't go cheap on wall ovens. Then there's microwaves. Here's something most people don't know. Nearly all microwaves come from the same factory, Midea in China. Different brands, same guts. The weird part is how people kill their door switches. Never yank the door open while it's running. Those switches aren't designed for that abuse. Let's talk about making any stove last longer. When installing, use power cords with proper strain relief. Sounds boring, but loose connections cause fires and failures. Skip the high heat self-clean cycle too. It's basically running your oven at pizza oven temperatures, which stresses every component. Instead, use steam clean if your oven has it, or the old-school method, baking soda paste and white vinegar. Works just as well without turning your kitchen into a sauna. Bottom line? Buy smart, maintain simply, and your stove will outlast the trendy kitchen renovations.